very nice sparkly lights, Samantha. That's I like those. I've just got away to say, great to see some smiling faces. So anybody that fancies turning the camera on, please do. It always makes a wee bit of a difference, but don't feel that you have to. My name's Chris Vanderkyle. I've been asked to come and have a chat to you today about, I suppose, my own experience of the world of work and careers and those kind of things. Probably unusually, I'm going to tell you why there was no career path that really ever suited me and still to this day doesn't suit me. But I found myself in one instead. And it goes to that thing which you'll have heard around, campaigns around exam time and things about no right path and all of that kind of stuff. And definitely not feeling that you need to be deciding what the rest of your life looks like at really any age, to be honest. You can change your mind whenever you want, but certainly not as a teenager, because you're only finding out about yourself, never mind finding out about what you're going to commit decades of your life and studying to. So I'll tell you a little bit about where I've come from and kind of what I got up to in terms of education and jobs and things like that, moving forward to today. And then I'll tell you a bit about what I'm doing today, which is, in a nutshell, I'm a video games developer. That's how I would probably describe myself. But we're also with my best friend, who's been my best friend since we were 11. He's my business partner. And as well as developing video games, we also invest in other companies and lots of entrepreneurial ventures, people with great ideas and ideas that we think are going to do really well into the future. And that's, I think I've got the best job in the world. I think anybody that wakes up in the morning and dives out of bed, with excitement about what the day's going to bring and it's not a day off, has won. If you can feel like that, you've won life, because it all gets easy from there. The day that you're getting up and thinking, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be in this job, I want to do something else, is the day you should go and try and do something else. Because too many people I've met in my life, some incredibly high achieving people who almost from the day they were born were on a career path to be, I don't know, an accountant or a lawyer, but never, or even a doctor, and never actually wanted to be that. But they were really good at school and they were really good at passing exams and they were writing personal statements or whatever it is, and suddenly found themselves like, well, I can't not. I've got all the qualifications to get into medical school. Almost nobody ever does that. So I better do it. I'll be letting everybody down if I don't do it. And then kind of 10 years into this incredible career that they've studied for 20 years to be able to do, you sit and talk to them, they're going to hate it. I don't know why I ever did this. What did I do? And it's like, yeah, why did you do it? I went, I don't know, because I had the right exams. That's never the reason to do anything. The only reason to do anything is because you want to. You might find out after wanting to do it that you start doing it and you hate it. That's okay as well. Then change again. But so there you go. And how did we end up? If you don't know, we've been for the past 10 years developing Minecraft for all the games consoles, so PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo formats. Our company in Dundee, 4J Studios, has done all of that. You probably do know this, but Scotland is one of the global hotspots for games development. Two of the most successful games of all time in Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto are developed right here in Scotland. So let's go back in time a little bit. Well, a little bit for me. I had long before you were born and me at school. So look, I was lucky. I mean, I went to a pretty ordinary school in Dundee, that was had quite a challenging catchment area. You had all sorts of kids from all sorts of backgrounds out of school, but we had really, really quite excited teachers. Teachers that were engaging with new technology was appearing. So how can we help kids get into that and do it? So we were really lucky in that we got opportunities to get hold of computers at school when other people didn't really, so I got to see a computer maybe 9 or 10, and this is in the days when, it was a big deal to be able to get one at home and to try it out. It wasn't till a few years later that they got cheap enough that people could actually own them themselves. But as soon as I got to play with a computer, I absolutely loved it. Just loved playing games on it, probably like many of you. it's a great fun thing. And the way my brain works, I just kind of went, oh, well, how do you do that? You know, and there weren't many games around then either. You know, it wasn't like I could spend my life on Steam downloading a game every 10 seconds and never run out of games. You know, some of them, they were literally, the code for the game was written out on a piece of paper, and the only way to play it was to type the code in. So I kind of learned to program doing that, because you screw it up and you get it wrong. So you have to go and debug it, and finally get the thing going. You're on the phone to your pals, no email or internet. You're going, right, I've got this far and I'm stuck. Or you went around to each other's houses and off you went. So I kind of got pretty hooked on technology really early on. I'm a total geek, I'll admit it, and I don't mind saying it. If there's a piece of new technology around, I want to try it. I want to play with it. I want to find a way to use it. Even if it's rubbish, I'll try and use it for a while before I kind of chuck it in the bin. And that's been a constant in my life ever since. As I got a bit older, I was okay at a couple of other things. So I played music, I played piano and keyboards. Didn't really formal lessons for piano and all that, I absolutely hated. So I think I did them for about a year when I was 9 or 10 and packed them in. And it wasn't until I was about 14 when one of the music teachers at school kind of knew that I could play a bit and said, oh, there's kids putting a band together, and why don't you try and be the keyboard player? And as soon as I went to my first little rehearsal, and I was totally rubbish. Can you imagine? I had 1 year of playing and 4 years of hardly doing anything. But a light went on for me in music, and from that day on, I kind of knew, because some of the kids that were in the band were better than me at their instruments. I'm like, well, I'm going to let them down unless I get as good as they are. So I'm going to have to work. What do I do? So every lunchtime, I'd go into a piano room in the school. I didn't have a piano at home, but I had a wee keyboard. My gran had a piano. I'd go right to hers like a couple of times a week. And I just suddenly, without knowing why, I was practicing at least an hour, if not 2 or 3 hours every day. And nobody ever asked me to do it. Nobody reminded me to do it. It was because it was something went on my brain. I went, I want to be better at this. And the only way I'm going to be better is by, trying other things and learning it in a different way. So that path took me on. So I fell in love with that. That was going to be me. I was going to be a musician for the rest of my life. And within a year or two, I was playing well enough to get into bands that were getting professional gigs, and I was getting paid a little bit of money. And that was pretty cool, because that could fund me buying more keyboards and, pieces. So it became kind of self-funding, which was great. And the other talent that I had, and part of my talent, which you can't see on Teams, is being tall. So I'm almost 2 meters tall. I'm about 6'6". So there's two kind of sports really in Scotland that if you're really, really tall, you're going to be good at. One is rugby, which I didn't really feel like getting battered about every Saturday. That wasn't top of my list. Getting punched and kicked, don't know why. Just call me a bit different, but I didn't want to. So I ended up playing basketball. My dad had played basketball, and he was, he played in a club. So I kind of joined the club and played it at school, and I got pretty decent at basketball. So I played for Scotland under 15, under 17, and kind of was away to get a scholarship to go to the States to play basketball. And that was one of my first life lessons, because I was pretty decent. You're doing okay if you get to play for your country as a kid, and all of that was incredible and fun and fantastic. But I realised I knew enough about basketball by the time I was 17 to know that I was too small. So the position I played in basketball at 6'6" is not, if you go to the States or wherever, you've got to be pushing 7 foot if you're going to be really good in the position I was in. And I was like, well, I don't want to just be a short guy from Scotland that gets, the sympathy bit of game at the end. If I'm either going to be good at this or I'm not. And physically, I'm not big enough to do the thing I'm really good at in basketball. So I'd have to try and be a different kind of basketball player. And I don't think I'm going to be good enough for that. So I just went, nah, just stop doing that. Let's concentrate on music. And music, I managed to, I was still enjoying school, the things I loved at school. So I was still doing lots of computing and all that. And that felt easy for me because it was, something I had a real passion for. So I was doing okay. My exams were doing fine. But I was spending probably more time playing music than I was, not quite at school. I was going to school every day and doing it, but I was, every waking hour that I wasn't at school, I was playing music, and the weekends I was working, playing music, until it got to a stage where I had to decide whether I was going to go to university or not. And I did. I thought, right, I'll sign up. My best friend, Paddy, he was a bass player in our band as well. We'd been we've been mates since we were 11 at this point, and we both kind of said, well, why don't we go? Because we love programming, we love computing anyway, so it's not going to be that difficult, and you get a bit more time to yourself at university than school, so we can easily do what we're doing now. And that got us into a place where we actually did get a contract offered to us as a band to go and become, a band recording an album and doing it and touring. And we're playing, by that time, we were at university and we were playing pretty big gigs, sort of 3,000 or 4,000 people a night, that kind of thing. So I knew that's where I was going. That was my career path. And the university thing was, I'll do it because I've got time at the moment, but probably going to have to give that up in a little while when this music thing takes off. And just when it was about to take off, it was a big life lesson for me, was we got a phone call one day saying, we know you're about to come to London to record your album, but it's all cancelled. We're like, what do you mean it's all cancelled? And they said, well, the record company has been bought by another much bigger record company. It was Sony, the big Japanese company. And they've decided they don't know you, they don't know what you're about, but they're not going to pick your contract up because it's too early. So sorry, that's it. And we're like, what do you mean that's it? And that was it. And it was like, you've got a choice at that point. You can dust yourself down and go, no, we're confident, we know we can do this, let's go and find something else. Or you can actually sit and reflect, which is what we did, and said, wow, that wasn't anything to do with how good we were or how well we're doing, because we're doing pretty well at the moment. That's about somebody we don't know who hasn't bothered even looking at what we are, making a decision for us that's kind of controlling our life in a way that you've suddenly had that door closed for you. And they didn't want to speak to us. It's kind of faceless people somewhere probably in London that had done it. So Paddy and I kind of sat that night and sort of said, do you know what? Let's just finish university, because actually we can see, and this was a long time ago, this was towards the late 1980s, early 1990s, we knew that software and technology was going to be something massive. And we thought, we can probably do something that's in our control, that we can control, and nobody else can take away from us, unless we're rubbish. We're rubbish. So let's do it. Let's go and try that. So let's stick at university at the moment and work out what it is we want to do. The really interesting thing, I suppose, for me at that point was that it wasn't all, I thought finishing university and getting a qualification was a good idea. Didn't think it was a bad idea. But in a funny kind of way, it wasn't what I cared about most. What I cared about most was giving myself the tools and the understanding to be able to then go and set my own company up. And why did I decide to do that? Because there's nobody in my family I'd ever set a company up. There's nobody I knew who was running a successful software company or anything like it. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because I tried a few jobs and I realized pretty quickly that I wasn't a good employee for anybody. I was a bit of a pain in the bum, to be honest. I couldn't, I didn't really want to do what people told me to do just because they told me to do it. I kind of want to say, well, why? Why do I have to do that? Is there not a better way to do it? And okay, I know, I managed to work in Marks and Spencer's for about 2 months on the checkout. So I kind of knew, okay, I just have to scan things and type the numbers in, and and that's what I need to do. Okay, this isn't anything that's really going to interest me for the rest of my life, because I didn't really think retail and that business was something I wanted to do. So I kind of get that I have to do that to earn a bit of money to do other things, like go out at the weekend, but that's kind of a bit of a waste of my time. Surely I can find something that I enjoy doing, that I can earn money doing at the same time. And the more I did that, the more I tried and try things out. So I got internships at software companies in the summer holidays, and I worked there and was like, okay, this is quite cool. And I got to go to Silicon Valley. They sent me out there for a few. I mean, as a 19-year-old kid from Dundee, I'd never been to America before. I'd never been out of Europe before. Getting to fly to America on my own and land in California and meet all these people that were amazing doing software, pretty mind-blowing. But what was weird about me is that I didn't land there going, oh my goodness, I need to be here forever, and this is where everybody is. I kind of got there and looked around and met a few people and went, do you know what? There's people in Scotland that I know that are better than a lot of the people that are telling me they're the best in the world at whatever they're doing. That's a bit weird. I thought the best people were all out here. And of course, there are amazing people out here. But I learned very quickly there are equally amazing people back in Scotland. So I kind of thought, don't really want to work for a company because they're going to make me start at the worst job possible and spend years, because the people that are above me are going to want to wait till they've been promoted before I get to be promoted. And that sounds like a living hell to me. I just want to get on and do cool stuff. So why don't I do my own business? Because I can program and people need programmers. So why? I'm a bit naive and stupid in a way, but that's a good place to be. Being a bit innocent and naive and not knowing how tough it is to do the next thing is a very good skill to have early on. And it's a skill of youth that you don't kind of get back, because once you've done it, you've got that experience. You're like, oh, I don't want to do that again because I know how tough it was the first time. So actually just going into things and going, I don't know, I don't really care. What's the worst that can happen? I'm going to give it a go. That's a pretty good place to be. And that was what sort of drove me to saying, yeah, well, what's the worst that can happen? I've not got a job. I'm lucky enough that I've not got any family responsibilities at the moment. I've got, I can sleep in my mum and dad will let me stay at home for a while if I want to. And I can always, I'm sure I can find a way to pay for a flat if that's what I want to do. So what could go wrong? Let's give it a try. So I sort of started out when I left university. Everybody else in my class was like, oh no, I've done what they call the milk round. I've gone and done interviews and I've been offered 4 jobs and I'm choosing this career and I'm choosing this company. And I'm sort of looking at them amazed going, how do you know that's what you want to do? How do you know you want to go and work in, I don't know, software in aerospace or in a bank, finance department or technology department in a bank? How do you know that? And when I kind of got into the pub with them and I sort of asked that question, they all went, because they've told me it's a good career path for me, or they've told me that I can earn such an amount of money. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to enjoy it. And they're like, I don't know. I said, but then how can you commit yourself to something not knowing? And to me, they thought I was mad, kind of going, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to offer myself up there and take jobs on and try different things until I see what happens. And they're going, that's mental. You don't know where you're going. And I went, well, no, I don't, but I'll find out. I'll just go on a journey and see what happens. I'm going, but I don't understand how you can pick your journey with be so sure that that's what you want to do. And what's been really interesting for me watching, not just people that were doing software and computing with me, but loads of friends and loads of people I met along the way, whether it be at school or at university, some of the people who had the absolute best results and the most choices ended up being the most unhappy, because they ended up being told, this is the career for you, this is the professional qualification that you need, and you're so lucky because almost nobody has the right boxes ticked to be able to do it. And then they wake up in, I think I said the medics earlier on, but so many accountants and lawyers that I know who, after all they were sitting, I mean, literally, this is weird for me, by the time they're in the late 30s, they were kind of all saying, well, we're kind of trapped because we're now earning a lot of money and I've got my mortgage and I've now got a family and all the rest of it, so I can't leave this to do anything. But if I stick it out for another 10 years or 20 years, then I'll have enough money to do what I want, by the time I'm 50 or whatever. And I'm like, why wait? Why not go and do what you want to do now? And try and find your feet somewhere else. So to me, it was a weird thing, and this is probably might be the opposite of everything you're being taught about being career ready. But I wanted to share it with you because it was really important for me, because I honestly did not know where it was going to end up. I didn't even have the idea that it was a career. It was just like, okay, I've built skills and I have got something that people will want. I get that. So let's just see where it takes me. And for the first 3 or 4 years of having, and by the way, it sounds a bit, I started a business, I had a big company. No, it was like me and my dog for the first 6 months, until I had enough work where I could afford to employ my cousin, who came along. He had a physics degree and I thought he could do something quite cool. And then a guy that was in my class at university, he was the next guy. And then by that time we had enough work on that I phoned up Paddy, my best friend, if you remember, from school, and said, look, Paddy, you went and took that corporate job. I bet you hate it, because we're not hating what we're doing. He's like, I absolutely hate it. I was like, okay, I've got enough money now in the business. Come and work for us and be part of the journey. And that was it. It was kind of like, how do we get our mates together? And, you're working with your mates, you're going out, you're working all the hours, that you can to, and you don't care, because you're getting up every day and going, this is brilliant. We're running a business. We're running a tiny business, but we're running a business. What we're learning today, because we didn't know what we're doing, other than we kind of knew how to program. So 3 or 4 years into it, by not just by chance, but by a lot of chance and luck, we'd found ourselves, somebody had wanted the skills that we'd had and said, right, we want to buy your company. That was weird because we were like, what do you mean you want to buy it? It's just us in a bedroom working away. So we agreed to sell it to them. And about 6 months later, I had a meeting with the team that we had. We had about 15 people by this time. And I said to everybody, how's everybody feeling? Is everybody enjoying this? Now, if you think about it, I mean, well-being and mental health and all those kind of things are a real priority for people these days. And all big businesses are understanding that this is an important thing. It was like, what do you mean you've just worked out it's an important thing? It was like from day one, I want to be happy, and I want everybody who's working with me to be happy. And if anybody's not happy, let's work out why not and try and do something about it. It's pretty simple, really. And we got to a stage after 6 months of being part of this much bigger company and it being all official and proper and, on the surface, it was looking really successful. And every single one of us hated it. We're like, we don't like the customers. We don't like the work we're doing. We don't mind spending, in our 20s, we're quite happy to work really, really hard. But if at the end of the day, the stuff we're working really hard to do feels a bit rubbish and annoying and we don't like it, what's the point? So we had this conversation. We're like, what's the point? Why are we doing this? And everybody went, yeah, you're right. Why are we doing it? And we went, okay, let's think about it a different way. What would we do with the skills we've got that we would get up every morning and go, yeah, let's go. Oh, we've got to work harder. Let's do more. Let's encourage more people to come and work with us because it's brilliant fun. And we all very quickly went, we want to make games. We want to make computer games. We all play them all the time when we're not working. We kind of have opinions on them. We know people in the area that make games, so it's obviously possible to do that from Dundee and with what we're doing. What's stopping us? And we put a little whiteboard up and we listed the things that were stopping us. We've never made a game before. Okay, that's a bit of a block. We don't have any animators that have ever animated game characters before. Okay, we've got no game designers that have ever designed a game before. We think we've got good ideas, but who do we know? Or what do we know? And we wrote these things up. Oh, and we don't have any money to do it. Okay, that's a problem. Right, okay, let's solve those problems. Let's go through each one of them. And we kind of went through each one. We hired somebody that had experience. And a lot of this is taking risk. We didn't know if it was going to work. And then the final one is like, oh, we don't have enough money to do it. And we thought, okay, who has enough money and would believe that we could make a game? And we just literally drew a short list up and we designed a game on paper that we thought would work for the world's biggest toy company, a company called Hasbro. And, remember, we're team of 15 in Dundee. It's never made a game before. What right do we have to walk into the door of, the biggest toy company in the world and tell them they should give us a lot of money to make a game? Answer, absolutely none. But did it stop us? No. We just kind of went, right, how do we get to the right person? And we kept phoning people. And eventually somebody went, oh, okay, you sound like interesting. We've got an office near Heathrow Airport in London. Come down and tell us your idea. And we did. And they, to cut the story very short, we did, and they gave us the money to develop the game, and the rest is history. That's how we got started. But that all came from us being really unhappy. Came from us, and on the surface of it, like, wow, could I ask for anything more? I'd had half an idea coming out of university to build a company. I'd built a company. Somebody thought it was cool enough to buy it from us and let us be part of the even bigger company. And 6 months in, we knew it was the wrong choice. We knew we'd made completely the wrong decision. So we were honest and open about it with ourselves first, and then with the people that we were working with. And do you know what was amazing? Nobody shouted at me. Nobody said, you idiot, we invested in you and now you're telling us you don't want to do it. People listened and went, okay, that makes sense. And if that's what you guys want to do, you should do it. So get on with it. So it was some lessons really early on that sort of taught me, because you probably ask yourself, well, how did you know? You must be a total genius if you knew how to build that business and how to do it. Well, the answer is I knew nothing. I knew how to program, and I spent, and this is a good life lesson, so I'd spent from like the age of 9 till 21, so 11 or 12 years learning how to be a really good computer programmer. And that was really useful. Like for the first couple of years of the business, I was the main programmer, and then for the next couple of years of the business, I did a little bit of help. But my job wasn't really to do that. My job was to run the business, to get investment in, to get deals in, and work out how to have leadership in the company and build the team and do all that kind of stuff. So you kind of go, wow, you spent your whole educational life to that point learning to be an amazing programmer, and then after 4 years, you've never done it again. I'm like, yep, that's how it works sometimes. You know, that core skill that when you're going through school or university, you think it's the only thing that matters. You might find out pretty quickly that it doesn't really matter in the way that you thought it did. For me, it matters in that because we work with technology businesses every single day, I can understand everything that they do. I can read their documents and go, yeah, I know the theory behind that because I've studied it, and you know, so I still use it, but I'm not allowed near a keyboard to program. I'm danger. You know, I'd really mess it up because I'm not, you know, it's like being a surgeon and then not operating on somebody for 30 years and say, right, go and do a heart transplant over there. You're not going to want me operating on you at that stage. You don't want me writing a program, any piece of software for you these days either. So it still wasn't the wrong journey. You know, if I look back and I say, I should have gone and done business because I worked out that business is what I really love. No, I've got no formal business training whatsoever. And it's not like I wear that as a big badge of honor on my sleeve. I meet people that have studied business that are incredible. But what it talks to is you don't necessarily need to make that decision that that's my core piece of education. Really, when you go to school, to college, to university, to anywhere, the core skill you're learning is how to learn. Because in the world you live in today, everything you need to learn is at your fingertips. You can get resources to learn any skill, any bit of knowledge you want. It's out there. But you do need to understand how to critically think and how to learn and how to be disciplined enough to kind of take that knowledge in and something you're passionate about, you know, learn it. And I've never stopped. Every single day I'm learning something new. And my kind of mantra is try and look about 6 months into the future, and make sure you've got everything learned, you know, in your backpack that you need to know for the next 6 months, and keep looking 6 months ahead. So as long as you can stay 6 months ahead of where you need to be, nobody will ever find out you don't really know what you're doing. And 30 years later, I can sit here today and tell you it's worked. Nobody's found me out yet. And how do I do it? I keep looking out, right, okay, I think I'm going to need to do this in 6 months' time or the next few months. Right, okay, how do I learn that? Who do I know that's done it before? Who can I go and phone and ask for advice? And that's got more outrageous as the years have gone by, when I realised that it's not because of who I am. I'm just some kid from Dundee, but nobody would ever say no to me if I asked for a bit of help and a bit of advice and a bit of information, no matter, you know, like American presidents, you know, politicians, you know, lords, ladies, knights of the realm, anything. Some kid from Dundee gets in touch with them and says, oh, I know that you know all about this. I'd like to try and learn about that. Can you tell me something about it? And 9 times out of 10, I'll end up having a cup of coffee with them and physically meeting them. And they'll, when they see I'm really excited about what it is they're interested in, they're like, oh, brilliant, right, let me tell you, here's how to do it, and here's who to speak to. The 1 time out of 10, they don't ignore me. They go, yeah, I know you think I know about that, but I don't. Here's who really knows about that. So don't waste your time speaking to me. Go and speak to this person over there. And that's an amazing thing. You know, you just, people call it, you know, fancy names for it, networking, whatever. It's not. It's just phoning folk up or emailing them and asking them questions, and don't feeling like, oh, I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about. They're going to think I'm an idiot. People love the fact that you're interested in something that they do, no matter how famous they are or how well known they are. You know, the fact that generally a young person wants to not necessarily be them or do exactly what they've done, but is interested in something they're really passionate about, makes people feel good and good. Oh, brilliant. I want to share my knowledge with somebody else, because we all do. You know, we're all more than happy to do it. And people, every single day, it still happens to me. I think about something. Yesterday, I was on the phone to this amazing Irish investor who invests in areas I don't really understand, but we're going into. And like, you know, he's, you know, incredibly well known globally. I think actually he's worth billions. Doesn't really matter, but I think he is. And I sent him an email and he's like, yeah, come on a Zoom with me and tell me what you want to know. So I did, and he was like, oh, amazing, right, here's who you need to talk to, here's where to go. Great, let me know how you're doing, and I'll connect you up with anybody else. Didn't have to do that, didn't ask me for anything back, didn't really know me from anyone, but that's all that happened. So those kind of, you know, it might be for you, and you know, if I were sitting where you're sitting, and you know, and I put myself back in time, and I was listening to me saying what I've said, there'd be a big bit of me saying, well, that's really easy for you to say that because look at what you've managed to do and look at where you are. But it's honestly true. Like, it's honestly true. I had no idea I was going to end up here. I had no dream to be here. Like, none of my dream was I'm going to be an entrepreneur and have companies that are worth loads of money, and I'm going to make video games all around the world, and I'll get the opportunity to work on the world's greatest selling video game of all time in Minecraft. No, I honestly was that little geek from Dundee who was like, I kind of like playing about with computers, and I'll learn how to do that a bit better. And it'd be cool if the computers and music could somehow come together. That would be fun. That was as much as I'd thought about. But understanding, being able to understand that I was probably not going to fit in to other people's company cultures was probably the thing that's let me end up being quite successful and really happy. Because I think if I'd gone, oh no, the only option for me, and this is a personal thing, you may feel totally differently and fit into these things, but it's like if I'd gone into company X and slotted myself in for the next 20 or 30 years, I'd probably be sitting here talking to you now going, yeah, I do an important job and it's good and I'm really proud of the company I'm with and all the rest of it. But actually I really like, I don't know, going sailing at the weekend or going to do it. I love doing fun stuff. I love getting on my bike and cycling around Scotland and having a laugh. But I don't work to let me do that. I work because I get up every day and I go, brilliant, what am I doing today? Even getting a chance to speak to you today got me up this morning and go, I'm really excited about that. It's going to be great to see, what these folk are about and, and hopefully give them a bit of inspiration. There's no day that I have that I get up, other than the day I have to meet my tax accountant. That's never a good day. But do you know what? That's a gag. Actually, I don't mind that. I don't mind meeting the professionals that we've now got, because we've got all these people that help us with our business. Every single one of them, we've tried to find people who love what they do. And believe it or not, there are people that love being tax accountants, that love kind of understanding how the systems work and helping us, because what they realize they're doing is they're helping me create even better businesses and bigger businesses by knowing and understanding how that side of things work. And that's, you'll hear people say this quite a lot, is always try and surround yourself with positive energy. People will say that. What that means for me in business is finding people in every business, in every role, in every job that we need to work with that really love what they do. So my lawyer loves being a lawyer, and he's brilliant at being a lawyer, and he gets up, nothing gets him more excited than reading legislation and coming up with contracts that work. Like, I hate to say it, but I'd be heading for the exit door pretty quickly if that was my life. But that's okay, because everybody should find the thing that gets them excited in the morning and makes them want to do what they do. And right at the core of it, we've got so many businesses that we're involved in now, and everything from insurance to fish farming to food for the elderly, and it's all got technology in it somewhere. And I love every single business that we've got. But right at the core of me, for the past 25 years has been video games. And the privilege the past 10 years of being able to work on Minecraft. And again, they don't let me program it in anger. I get to look at it and give an opinion on various things. But being part of that team that's made that's been unbelievably special. When you meet people every day that know what we've done and say, oh my goodness, my kids grew up with Minecraft. My kids decided he wants to be an architect because of Minecraft. You can't help but feel, oh, well, actually, maybe we have done something quite important through video games. So I still love that, and we're really busy in our video games business at the moment. But every single element of every single thing we've done, we had absolutely no idea this was where we're going to end up. And the career path was, believe it or not, all about what's going to make me happy tomorrow. I like programming, fine, let's do that. And when I start being less happy in anything, what I try and do, and I'm really lucky in that I can choose on any particular day, what is it I'm going to do today? I try and put myself out of job. And I say to people, I think I'm a danger to myself and to companies that I work with if I do the same thing for too long. And my attention span is so short that I can really only do a job properly for about 6 months. If I've got, right, on every week or every month, you need to be at this meeting, and you need to do this, and you need to have this bit of work done, I get bored really, really quickly. That's okay, as long as you recognise that and you don't stay in the place you're in bored. So what I've now worked out for the past 20 years is as soon as I get a job, I start looking at who I can get to do the job better than I can. And as soon as I found them, I get out of Dodge and get on with the next thing. And I've realized that's where I can add the best value. And again, if you think about how a lot of companies are set up, a lot of companies are set up so that people are like, oh, no, I don't want anybody coming behind me because they're going to threaten me and they're going to steal my job. Every healthy company that I've ever worked with has a culture of, oh, yeah, somebody new's coming in, brilliant. I hope they're able to do my job really quickly because I want to be able to do something different. People who maybe come to me, who've worked with me for ages and gone, do you know what? My work here is done. I've done all these amazing people in place. I think I want to go and do something different. And it might be with us and it might not be with us. That's cool. And that's the world we live in now. Things are changing so quickly today that nobody's ever lived through this piece of change, like, as fast as you guys are coming into. And it's pretty mind-blowing. And not just because of the pandemic, not just because of everything that's happened, but just partly technology-driven. Things are changing so quickly. But what's even scarier is it'll never be this slow again. It'll never, ever be this slow again. So you coming into the world of work, coming into the rest of your life, have got to come in and not be scared by it, but with an attitude of, I'm going to develop things that I love. I'm going to try and keep reflecting on myself. What is it I like? Yeah, I like doing a certain thing, in my case, maybe computer programming, but that's not what I really like. What I really like are the industries I'm working with or the people that I'm working with. So how do I do more of that? And how do I keep adding value to it? And how do I make sure that I don't get in? Because by the way, every single one of us will get into a phase of, for me, oh, how did that happen? I've been doing the same job for 3 years. And for the last 2.5, I've probably not been as good at it as somebody else could have been. Idiot, I've got stuck. Right, okay, let's reflect on this a little bit and sort it out. You'll go up cul-de-sacs and blind alleys and things will happen in your life where you'll just want a bit of a break from going crazy for a while. That's all fine. It's all fine. But just constantly keep asking yourself, like, what's going to make you happy? And by the way, of course, being financially secure in whatever that means to you takes stress and pressure out of your life, but it's never the most important thing. It's never, ever, ever the most important thing. The people I know that all they've done in their life is chase more money in every job they've done are, again, probably some of the most unhappy people you'll ever see. They're generally the ones that have a chaotic personal life because actually none of that matters. It's all about me getting the next big job and I'll trample over everybody underneath me. People a lot of the time don't like them because, like, who cares about anybody else? And the people that are happiest for me, are people who've found something they absolutely love. And, and it might be something, it might be, take a very functional job like fishing. Like, you might get somebody who absolutely loves the process and I mean, commercially, being out in boats, doing whatever they're doing and being passionate about it and developing themselves within that world. And they don't want to go anywhere else. Cool. That's great. If you found your happy spot in a job like that, that's amazing. I'm only talking from my own personal experience of being an entrepreneur. My job every day is to create stuff. It's like have an idea and then find a way to bring it to life. Normally in business, but we do stuff outside business as well. And honestly, I've had the most fun anybody could ever hope to have doing what I'm doing. And today, all that happens for us as we've become more successful is we've got more choices. It's not about a number. I don't ever measure myself on a number that's sitting in a bank or whatever. I have no idea. It's, I've had an idea, and because we've got this success behind us, we can make it happen, as opposed to, I've got all these amazing ideas, but I'm not quite at a stage where I can make it happen yet. Now I can. So who knows what, it's been 30 years so far. And by the way, that's another weird thing for me. When people talk about retirement, people talk about I'm in a career and when I hit 55, 65, 75, then I'm going to retire. That's really weird. I think my life will change as I go on. I don't think I'll be doing the same job. And I think, if anybody if you get older, of course, you're going to be different capabilities. You'll use probably your brain more than you'll use your physical attributes or whatever it is. Life will change. But, probably the happiest 85-year-old I know goes into work every day, runs a big investment business in Edinburgh. He, by the way back in the mists of time in the 1960s, was one of Scotland's youngest and most successful tax lawyers, did it for 3 years and hated it and gave it all up to set up an investment business, knowing nothing about how to do it. 60 years later, pretty much, he's still doing that job and getting up every day and loving it. Phones me, a couple of times a week to go, right, what, I've had an idea, what do you think? And I go and see him all the time, and not because, oh, it's an older person and I want to go and, make sure I'm giving them a bit of time and I'm looking after them. It's like, no, this guy's got some of the best ideas in business I've ever met. He knows everybody, and I do business with him every day. So I kind of aspire to be him. It's like when I'm in my 80s, I want time to do whatever I want to do, but I'm still going to be an entrepreneur and I'm still going to be setting up businesses. Why wouldn't I? Why does it say in a rule book somewhere that when you hit a certain number, you shouldn't be doing it anymore? So I genuinely mean it when I say, like, I'm 51 now. In 30 years' time, I can't wait to see what I'm doing. I can't. I'll hopefully have so many amazing people around me that I'll just have to make 3 or 4 calls a day while I'm traveling around the Mediterranean or doing whatever fun I'm having, or traveling around Scotland, having a blast. But I'm not going to be doing it from the point of view of, I've got to go to work to be, I can't wait for the day I retire. That's, to me, and again, personal opinion, nobody should be working towards the day they don't have to work anymore. Should be working towards every day's brilliant, and this is what I want to be doing, and balancing it with everything else that's going on in your life. So I've got 5 minutes. I've talked at you, sorry, more than I expected to, and I'm really sorry. I actually do have to run to get to another meeting, so I literally have 5 minutes. But I am more than happy to answer any questions. I'll answer Finley's question as I'm looking down the chat. The band was called Big Blue 72, which if you go and look it up, you'll probably not even find reference to it anymore. It's like back in about 1988, we kind of hit our peak and disappeared, like many bands. So crack on. Anything you want to know, no matter how daft you might think it is, because there are no stupid questions. Only silence when nobody can, everybody's too scared to ask one. It's pretty tough on a Teams, I have to say. With, I don't know how many of you are on this team, but lots and lots and lots of you. So I get the fact that it might be a bit daunting to certainly be first in any way. So you don't have to. Don't feel you. I'm also not bullying you into doing that. How did I do in school? A question. So I'm not going to lie in that I ended up being quite good at exams. So my son's 16 and he's just done not National 5 exams, but it's not exams. I'm amazed by him. Okay, I don't know. Well, I know it kind of comes from his mum. He worked for weeks and months before his exams, studying and restudying all the rest of it. I didn't. I was totally horrendous at like cramming it all in a week or two. But I was kind of lucky enough in that I actually liked the pressure of exams. Sounds a bit weird to say. So I did really well at National 5 equivalent level. I did, I got kind of straight A's at that. Didn't do as well at my hires. I thought I could wing my hires and then found out to my horror that I couldn't. And I just got the minimum requirement that I needed to get into Edinburgh to do computer science, like by the skin of my teeth. So that was a real fright for me. And probably the first time I realised that the people that are amazing at academia, studying and doing exams or writing papers, that actually wasn't me. I was good enough to do it, and I passed my degree, and I did fine. But there were people an awful lot better than me at doing it, and that was fine, because that was like not a, oh dear, I'm a failure because I'm not good enough at that. It's like, okay, what do I need to do, and then I'll do that. But I should be something slightly different. Loads of questions coming in. Dragos has got his hand up virtually, so I'm going to ask him to ask the question if he's prepared to come online. And is it the question you've asked in the chat, Dragos? Is it, when is GTA 6 coming out?
Yes, it's the same question.
Okay. Do you know what? You've got as much of a clue as I do. I mean, I know the guys. I was actually Sam Hauser, the president of Rockstar. We were firing emails back and forward to each other the other day. I wouldn't even ask him because I know he won't ever tell me. What's really interesting on that question is GTA 5, because of GTA Online, I think there's a chance that GTA 6 never comes out. I don't think it's a big chance. I think they probably will do it eventually, but they're not in any hurry to do it because GTA 5, GTA Online is so massively popular at the moment. What would I consider to be my... I'm picking these up. Fantastic. Tons of questions coming in. Regrets regarding my company. Do you know what? It's a really good question because we did have a big blow up in our company in the early 2000s. So we had a game called State of Emergency that Rockstar published for us and became #1 after GTA 3 had become #1. So worldwide, PlayStation 2, incredible game. And it was the first one. So it was going to set up a long-term franchise for us. And then things went wrong at the company, and our investors at the time, because I'd raised all this money to do it, basically said, we want you to sell the company. And we were saying, no, it's the wrong time to sell the company. They said, no, you need to sell it. So we did. And the company that bought us was the wrong company to buy us. And within a year, it was gone. It was an American company. The company went bust. We were all quite literally on the streets. I had to make the whole company redundant. It was the worst time of my life in business, no question about it. But from that, there's nobody that worked for us at that point that didn't go out and get another job pretty quickly. We then set up 4J Studios within about 6 months that went on to do Minecraft. And for a few years, it really bothered me. I kind of went over all my decisions every night and go, what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? And loads of things I could have done differently that would have ended up in a different place. But then I woke up about 5 years into the Minecraft journey and we'd become incredibly successful, everything had happened. And I realized something that I'll never forget for the rest of my life, and I'll keep applying it. Had we not gone horribly wrong 6 years before that, we would not have had the success we had with Minecraft. It was impossible to do what we did after that without falling on our face and starting again and being able to do it with none of the baggage that we had the last time. And I can now reflect on it with, enough time gone by, that the best thing that could have happened to me was what at the time was the worst point in my life, was the most stressful, was horrible. But looking on it now, I was like, wow, that ended up creating the more success than I could ever have imagined. And it talks to me now all the time, and I talk to other businesses about not worrying about failing. Don't stress about it. Try and not fail. Try and be successful every turn, but don't stop yourself from doing something because it might all go wrong. Because the best entrepreneurs in the world are always the ones that go, okay, we've thought about it, but we're going to go for it, and we know it might go horribly wrong. But if it does, so be it. We'll find a new way to do it. And the people that don't quite make it get to the same point and go, I'm not going to risk it. I'm just not going to do it because look what I've created, and I'm going to look like an idiot and people are going to hate me. They shouldn't be doing the job that I do, because you kind of have to, you don't have to bet it all on black every day. That's gambling and that's stupid. But you do have to make informed, it's still a bet, but you stack the dice in your favor as much as you possibly can. So that talks about that. Who bought our company? It was a company called, should have known by the name of the company that bought it. They were called BAM! Like literally, that was the name of the company. And they did go BAM! Very quickly after they bought us. Great success. The Minecraft deal, without beginning, middle, and end. We didn't expect it to be the success it was. We thought success looked like us doing 2 million copies of the game. We thought that was insane success if we could sell 2 million copies of Minecraft on console. We've done over 70 million copies of it, and we're nearly 200 million pieces of additional content on there as well. This is brilliant. Thank you. Did you get to work on the Banjo port? Yes. Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Perfect Dark with Rare. Paddy and I are massive fans of those games, so that was a bit of a dream come true to work on all of those. GTA 5 Online and PC is a hacker's paradise. It certainly is. New Minecraft update soon. Fortunately, since Microsoft bought Minecraft, we have no say on when the updates come or do. We just kind of do our own gig alongside it. So we have probably not much more information than you do on that one. Conker's Bad Fur Day. Good call. Do you know what? We said let's do Conker on it, but they kind of pulled back because they thought there was too much inappropriate language in it. It's a bit of a shame. Any new games coming soon? Yes. I love the fact that somebody's asking what Minecraft is. That's perfectly fine. I'm glad somebody doesn't know. Loads of new games in development in 4J. We also have a great developer that we invested in called Puny Astronaut. Brilliant name. They've got a game called Sky Tales, which is it's a really lovely kind of game that anyone would enjoy playing. Some people are like, oh, it's too cute for me. I don't want to play it. Just wait until you play it. It's amazing. Should come out later this year. And then we've got about 4 games in 4J that will be about 18, 24 months to come through. And then another company that we're involved in called Stormcloud, who've got a great game coming. Have you seen Hytale? Oh, yes, I have seen Hytale. And Noxie, who's the CEO of the studio, the Hypixel studio, is a good friend. We talk to them all the time. They're great, and I can't wait for Hytale to come in. Is Minecraft a shooting game? It can be if you put the right mod into it, but it's never really meant to be. Most stressful thing about creating Minecraft, the pressure of the fan base and screwing it up for the fan base. But actually, back to my point, we made mistakes and then we listened to the fans and went, okay, we'll change it. We'll do something different. Do you want to port Hytale to a console? Look, that's my poker face. I'll repeat my last answer. Noxie's a great pal. We love what they're doing. Who knows what the future brings? We'll see. This is great. This is a good chat. I'd almost should have done this as a live stream, except I probably wouldn't have been able to say many of the things I've said. Right, Jack, you can have last question because there are people waiting for me in another meeting in 10 minutes. You going to speak, Jack? Oh, there you I can see you. Take your mute off. There we go. Hi, Jack.
Apart from being a very big fan of your work, what is the most favorite thing that you've contributed to apart from Minecraft?
Cool. So apart from Minecraft, do you know, you're kind of like my 14-year-old son constantly asks me questions like favorite this, and I'm like, son, it's like picking my favorite child. I have none. But at the time, pretty much everything we've worked on. I mean, I can't believe what we did on Oblivion years ago. That was an amazing moment when that came out on PlayStation 3. We did it state of emergency because it was our idea from start to finish. Was an amazing game, and seeing that hit the global news because it was a Riot game. We had huge controversy around it and all of that. That was pretty cool. So many moments in my life, my professional life. But a lot of the non-games companies, I'm so proud of now. Weird to say it, and I talked about it in the last call. Parsley Box is like the last thing you'd ever think I'd be involved in. I'm the chairman of a public company, a publicly listed company that makes ready meals for the older age group community, like over 60s. How did that come from video games? Do you know what? I absolutely love that company. The team are amazing. What they're doing is incredible. They're actually transforming the lives of older people to make it much more fun to be older, which I'm hoping we crack by the time I get to the age that we sell to, that it'll be the most fun age to be. And I'm sure with technology, we can do something cool in there. As in Elder Scrolls Oblivion, yes, we did Elder Scrolls Oblivion for PlayStation 3, Jack. Maybe another game you like. We also did another cool game that we worked on was Overlord for Triumph Studios. We did PlayStation 3 version of that as well. But yeah, if you go and look in our back catalogue, there's some amazing games, there's some less amazing games, but every one of them has been fun. Do I play Fortnite? I played a lot of Fortnite for about a year. And then sucked the life out of it as far as I was concerned. I've moved on. People thought Fortnite was going to be as big as Minecraft. It's made shed loads of money. Epic have done amazingly well, but it ain't Minecraft. Cool. And whoever says the Java edition is superior, I couldn't actually argue with that because the gloves are off for Java edition. They can do anything they want. And for a hardcore Minecraft player, it's got everything. But our console versions are the ones before what was called the Better Together update, where it's all the crossplay stuff. Microsoft decided that was what they wanted to do, and we kind of went, nah, we like making specific console editions. So we moved into really the world of content after that. So we're not responsible for the current one. And I'm glad, EW, that this chat is giving you a life. That's excellent. And the only thing OB disliked was having to pay for content. I apologise, but my children thank you for your contribution to our business. Good. Listen, you guys, just go and enjoy your life in every way you possibly can, and just when there'll be crappy days, there's, it's not all wine and roses. There's crappy days for me too, but try when you have those crappy days and think about, is it just a passing crappy day because stuff's going on and it'll be better, or is this actually the 10th crappy day in a row, and actually I don't like my crappy life, and it's there because it's your life, and you go and find something not crappy to do with it, because you don't want to wake up in 30 years' time and go, why didn't I do something about it back then? There's also another brilliant phrase that people talk about, growing forests, which is the right time to plant a tree was 30 years ago. The next right time to plant it is today. And what that really means is, a lot of people will go, oh, wow, if only I'd done that 30 years ago, I'd be amazing now. But then go and do it now, because you'll be amazing from now on. And it never fails to amaze me how a lot of young people say to me, it's too late for me now to try this. I would have been really good at that if I'd started it when I was 10 or 12. Rubbish. There's no bad time to start it. You might find out that you're not as good, or you don't really want to work as hard as you need to, but you can do it if you want to do it.